5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film, the podcast where we try and break down the top 5 in the world of film. Joining me this week are Chris.
Because I'm Batman.
John.
Yeah, for Dance with the Devil by the Pale Moonlight.
Ollie.
I'm vengeance.
And the fifth member of the panel, our returning guest, Tony. Thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome. And I think you've stolen all the good lines. Oh, hang on, I've got one. I'm Batman.
Nice. So this week we're doing Batman. Here's how the show works. We have 3 rounds: nomination, elimination, ranking. We're each going to nominate a film that we think deserves to be on this week's top 5 and why it should be there. And then we're going to see if 2 or more of us agree. If it does, it's going to go on our initial list, and hopefully we'll get 7 films. Once we get our 7, we're going to eliminate 2, leaving us with 5. And then we're going to rank the top 5 to give us this week's definitive 5 on film. If you're watching, get in touch. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, we're on all those. And come and speak to us on the socials. We're at 5 on Film Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Gmail. Send us an email. Show ideas. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. And hopefully we can do some topics that you want to hear. So this week's topic is Batman. We're going to go any wide release film where Batman has a central role, is a central character. He doesn't have to be the main star, but as long as he's got a decent showing in the movie, it counts for this week's list. So I'm going to go with the guest this week. Tony, can you lead us off with the first film that should be on Batman's 5 on Film?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, well, I've got 3 that I would say are the thinnest end of the wedge Batman films that I think are brilliant. But I'm going to go with probably just about my favourite, which is Batman Returns.
Okay.
Love that film. Remember going to the cinema when I was 14 to see it. It's like a gothic Christmas nightmare. And I always watch it at Christmas as well. I just think the chemistry between the cast is brilliant. All the roles are cast brilliantly. There's a real, I mean, the first Batman film had darkness to it, but this one, I think, irritated one of the fast food giants, didn't it? Either Burger King or McDonald's for being so dark when they made all the toys that they were expecting to sell to kids. So yeah, I feel Michael Keaton's the best Batman in my opinion, and while there are other brilliant Batmen,
Yes.
I
Bat
think
people.
yes,
Yes.
people. Michael Keaton has that. I think he does Bruce Wayne well, and has a lot of new. He's kind of 2 Bruce Waynes. He's the kind of forgetful playboy to the outside world, and then kind of the brooding, thoughtful, to people that he's close to. And I just think he's a great Batman as well. So yeah, let's say Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. Nice. Chris, are you going to agree? It made it on our alternative Christmas films list. So is it going to make it on the Batman list?
Absolutely, yes. Batman Returns is a great film, great sequel to the original Batman '89, and I love it for all the reasons Tony has said. It's Tim Burton turned up to 11, and he kind of did that deliberately because he didn't want to do another one after this. So he was just like, screw it, I'm going to do me. And didn't he just? it features the best Catwoman on screen. Michelle Pfeiffer is just amazing. I agree with Tony about Michael Keaton. He is my favorite Batman. Penguin,
Dan DeVito.
Danny DeVito, and Max Schreck.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Fantastic. Yeah, really good film. You see the Batmobile more. I mean, I would mark it down slightly because you don't see Batman very much, but it doesn't really matter because you've got Catwoman and Penguin. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Nice.
So yes.
The bad guys are actually quite multi-layered as well, aren't they? I think. And there's three of them essentially.
Yeah.
Would normally be overstuffed for a lot of modern day films. You know, you couldn't concentrate on them all or find out much about them. And Penguin and Catwoman are kind of tragic figures in many ways. I mean, Max Schreck's a greedy prick, but so I think has a much. It does a group of villains well, and being able to let them show their personalities and characters and the complexity of them.
Yeah, and I guess Catwoman can be classed as an anti-hero in some ways as well. So
correct, yeah.
Yeah. John, are you gonna give it 3 votes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is This is. I think this was definitely the pinnacle of the first set of Batman films, the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher's, as far as I'm concerned. I think the first one was a let's see what he can do, and the second one was a case of he can do it, let him get on with it. As far as Tim Burton's concerned, I think Christopher Walken chews up the scenery. Danny DeVito is horrible as the Penguin. He's got that right edge of ick to everything he says and does. It's truly comic book. It's got a style all of its own, and Catwoman just cartwheeling out of the Shrek store and it blowing up behind her is just one of the amazing iconic moments. The Michael Keaton is he's definitely towards the top of my list, if not the top. And he has a very assured way of playing both the playboy and Bruce Wayne and also Batman. He reminds me a lot of the a very good comparison to the old Christopher Reeve as Superman in Superman 2, being able to turn from one to the other in the turn of the head. So the Bat Ski Boat, not as good as the Batwing, but very good. I like this one.
Nice one. It's got 3. Ollie's got 4.
I like it. I loved it as a child. It's towards the bottom end of my top 7, so I'd say yes. I started to watch both of the Michael Keaton Batman films in preparation for this, and he's a brilliant Batman, and all the villains in both of his movies are so brilliantly cast. And Danny DeVito as the Penguin is absolutely fantastic, as you guys have said. Do they hold up as well as some of the more modern Batman films? They've got that very kind of comic booky element to them, which I do really like. But they do look like films that were made kind of 30 years ago. So that for me, that's why it can't be towards the top of this list. But for nostalgia reasons, it can be towards the bottom of the list. The Danny Elfman score I really enjoyed in the first one. In the second one, it almost becomes a bit too kind of comical. So at times, but that original kind of Batman theme that he wrote for the Tim Burton movies it gives you kind of that wonderful nostalgia every time you hear it. So I'm going to say yes, but it's not my favorite.
No, I think I fall in exactly the same camp as you, Ollie. I think that I think there are 7, in my opinion, 7 very, very good Batman films. Good to great Batman films. I have a clear top 7. And I think that it's to degrees of how good they are. And I think that this one is a very good movie. There's just a few that are better, in my opinion. But I would still say that this ranks within the top 7 Batman films, and it is a very good film with an iconic cast. And Danny DeVito was scary as hell when I was younger, and yeah, it's probably like I'm surprised this film didn't get a higher rating. I know there was debates that it should have been like potentially an R-rated movie in the States, but an R-rated film with products that you can get Happy Meals was a little bit weird. So yeah, it's definitely an iconic Batman movie, and yeah, Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is just brilliant. I don't think there's been a better Catwoman. So yeah, I would have said yes as well. So 5 yeses, Tony. It is on the list, and yeah. So Chris, can you give us a second one?
Yeah. What should I go for? It seems. Do I? I'm gonna go with Lego Batman. I think this is a hilarious film. It was greenlit off the success of a Lego movie, which Batman features heavily in, and he's one of the best bits in that film. And yeah, giving him his solo film in Lego form is genius, and it's absolutely brilliant film. It's really well voiced, and all the actors who play the characters are really good. Is it Zack Galifianakis? Isn't that he plays the Joker? Yeah. He's really good, and yeah, it pays fantastic homage to all of the films that have gone before it, Batman films, and it's just got that really sharp, well-written humor, and all these little Easter eggs to the previous films, and it's instantly quotable, and unforgettable, and I absolutely love it, and it looks so good. It looks like it's stop motion, obviously not, but they perfected it by that point. Making the Lego look like they were actually stop motion when it was all CGI. But yeah, I love this film, and it's the funniest Batman film, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, it's great fun, and I can enjoy it with my son. So yeah, win-win.
Nice. John, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. This is an interesting one. It basically, because it's Batman, but it's not. I mean, it's not even like it's not like the 66 Batman. It's just out and out. How can we do a really camp version? And I was surprised. I was surprised by it. I'll put it like that. I think as normal, these films are starting to run a bit long now. I'm sure we'll have a conversation about that later. But this one, the plot kind of it seems too much butter spread over too much bread. But in saying that, the gag rate is incredible. It's Lord and Miller again, isn't it? Is it Lord and Miller?
I think they were producers on the
They're
film.
part of it. And,
yeah, I think so.
And you can kind of see this as their first go at multiverse, with bringing in all the bad guys at the end. I mean, literally all the bad guys. I mean, yeah. Warner Brothers have been trying to do this, and their most recent one being Space Jam: A New Legacy, where other properties start turning up. This is kind of the childlike version of that, and it kind of almost taps where the Spider-Verse went as well. Yeah, I like the idea that Batman is just Batman. He's really good at being Batman and already knows what Batman does and what's going to happen next. And Batman's always on it. And I like the idea that the Joker just wants a hug. So yeah, I'd put this on. I'd put this in the 7. I'd put this in the 7.
Ollie, is it the Lego Batman movie top 7 Batman?
I enjoyed the movie. It's hilariously funny. Lego Batman stole the Lego movie, absolutely, and deserved his own movie. But is it one that I would choose to watch over other Batman movies again? Would I kind of go, right, what I fancy a movie, I'm going to put this on? It's not. So I think for that reason, I almost don't consider it a Batman movie because it's an animation of Lego characters. So it hasn't made my list.
Okay. It made mine. It's got 3 votes. Chris, it's made it through.
It would not have made mine.
You can go next. I think it's the best rendition of Robin that we've had on screen. I think Marcus Sierra is hilarious as Robin. I thought it was really entertaining. I like what they did in the Lego movie. I think that Will Arnett is a great Batman. I think weirdly there have been a lot of very good Batmans, even in not great Batman movies. There has been a lot of different people who have portrayed Batman very well, and I think Will Arnett's Batman is great. So yeah, it wasn't near the top of my initial 7, but it made my 7. So I'm saying yes. So it's got 3 votes. So it's on the 7. Tony doesn't agree. Tony?
No, for all the reasons Ollie said. I also don't think it's quite as funny as you guys think it is. I think it was not. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it. He was the best bit, one of the best bits of the Lego movie, but I didn't think it translated as well into his own.
Okay.
And I just don't really. It's not something I would. When I think I need to watch a Batman film, it would not be in my top 7.
Okay.
It would kind of be put with, well, higher, but kind of on the shelf with Batman and Robin and Batman Forever.
Okay. Tony letting us into his fandom of Joel Schumacher there. Okay, well, Lego Batman has made this list. It got 3 votes, so it's there in our 7. John, have you got another one?
I hope so. There's enough of them.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna go controversial. I'm gonna go for the HBO special, the 4-hour unfinished, everything in it, Zack Snyder Justice League. I think that if this had been pushed one way or another, this would have actually been either a really good film or a really good miniseries. So either way, I think this could have actually been developed. It could have been developed one way or another. But due to the rigmarole and everything about it, everybody wanted everything, so everybody got everything. But it was. I think it makes a heck of a lot more sense than the original release of Justice League. Nothing controversial about that bit. But it just kind of made more sense. It gave more heroic moments to the people who needed them. It brought the character, it explained the story in a better way. It gave you the bigger moments that weren't there in the first cut. It yes, there it suffers from not having it. You write a film in 3 places. You write the film in the story, and then you film it, and that's another place where you finesse the story, and then you actually you finish off the story in the edit. This didn't really have that finishing off in the edit. It had a lot of money put into it. I think Steppenwolf looks a lot better. I like the fact that Darkseid turns up, and it and yeah, I actually think that this is better than it should have been, and I think it's better than some of the finished films of this DCEU. So I think that this should kind of be maybe towards the bottom, but I think this should actually be should be considered properly for our list.
Okay, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ollie, yes or no?
I think this should be considered towards the top of our list. I was super hyped for Zack Snyder's Justice League when all the actors like started getting behind it and kind of tweeting like release the Snyder cut. I was like, I want to see this, because I like everybody else was disappointed with the Justice League. It was just a mess with like Superman's mustache, dodgy CGI. I don't know what he was doing. Like the Warner Brothers wanted somebody to come in and make it a bit more light-hearted and a bit more Marvel-esque, I guess. And that isn't what Zack Snyder's the Snyderverse should be. The Zack Snyder movies are dark and atmospheric and visually stunning. I'm a big fan of Zack Snyder. So when there was the hype around this potentially being released, and then when they actually kind of greenlit it and said, "Oh, we are going to release like the Snyder cut," I was properly hyped, and then it got more towards the release date, and we didn't know whether it was going to be one long movie or whether it was going to be broken down into kind of 6 parts or whatever. So you end up with like these, are they 6 or 7 acts, John? I can't remember. And then the epilogue.
6. Yeah.
So you don't actually have to sit there and watch it as sit there for 4 hours and watch it if you didn't want to. There's perfect kind of pause points. I sat there the day it came out and watched the whole 4 hours, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I just think what he did with it. If I also did this, I watched Man of Steel, then I watched Zack Snyder's director's cut of Batman versus Superman, and then I watched this, and they work so well as a trilogy. I was a big fan of Man of Steel. Again, visually stunning. Like just some of those shots, like Superman, they handcuffed him. He's walking like through the police station. Who handcuffed Superman? Like that was utterly pointless, but they did it, and the shot of that is amazing. And like Superman with like being like buried in all the skulls, like he's kind of sinking. I'm digressing. Anyway, I absolutely love Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I'm one of those people that is tweeting "Restore the Snyderverse." I would like to see parts 2 and parts 3 of this. If the epilogue scene didn't get you excited for what could potentially be the rest of the Snyderverse, then you can't be a fan of movies. It's so fantastic. The epilogue is probably even the best bit of the entire film. I absolutely loved that. But bringing in Jared Leto's Joker, that whole scene is fantastic.
But the best thing about that is the fact that Jared Leto's Joker is being played completely differently to how he was in the Suicide Squad and things like that, and it actually makes sense within the piece. So it's not they're not even it's a case of right, okay, it doesn't matter what you've done before, that you do this now. This is your character now. So
yeah, it's a yes from me. It's brilliant.
Okay, it's me now, and I like Zack Snyder. I think I'm a very big fan of Watchmen. I thought 300 was a very good film. I liked his Dawn of the Dead remake. I do not like him anywhere near DC properties. I thought Man of Steel was absolutely awful. I thought Batman versus Superman was okay. And I think that this movie, it doesn't really matter if it was, it makes more sense than the theatrical cut. I don't know if I was particularly any more entertained or not, because this wasn't a very good movie at all either. There's too much going on. No movie should need 4 hours for you to explain and understand the plot. He should have been able to do that in 2.5 hours, 3 hours. He should have been
remember
able to.
that for later. Remember that.
He
for
should
later.
have been able to, and
I think he just wanted to show you everything that he'd shot, and I was pleased to be able to see it.
I think actually it was more of a case of there was such a clamour from fans to put everything out.
Yeah,
basically, when they said release the Snyder Cut, what they actually said was do not censor him, and unfortunately they had to. I think they had to go along with it to the nth degree.
Yeah, but
that's what
it doesn't make any sense, because it didn't do what it was needed to do, which was drive fans to HBO Max, and it was still one of the Wonder Woman 84 got more views on HBO Max its opening weekend than this did. It didn't have the fan.
Show me a fact. I don't believe it.
I will. I believe I have heard that.
Link them below.
I will
There's no
endeavour to try and find you the actual results, but I believe that Wonder Woman 84 was more viewed on its opening weekend on HBO Max than this was, which means that there weren't the fans out there. And I think there are lots of loud fans on Twitter, but not very many fans in the real world. And I think that it's a not very good rendition of this universe. I think Ben Affleck is actually not a bad Batman in terms of Batman. His rendition of the character Batman, the warehouse scene in Batman versus Superman, is probably the best part of Batman versus Superman. But none of that equates to Justice League being a very good or entertaining film. So for me, nowhere near this list. Tony, what do you think of Justice League?
I've seen the look on Chris's face, so I feel like actually my vote is the deciding vote on this. And I'm somewhat torn. I did like Man of Steel. I thought that was a really good film. I really enjoyed that, and I thought Henry Cavill was a good Superman as well.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him come back actually.
Yeah, and I thought the extended editions of both Batman versus Superman and Justice League were better, and I really enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was a good Batman, and I would have liked to have seen a solo film with him in.
Good Batman, bad movie.
I think he actually plays a very good late stage Bruce Wayne Batman. I think this is where Nightwing kind of rocks up and says, "I've been away for a while. How's things going?" I think
he looked bored. Ben Affleck looked bored.
Is it in the
Lego
7
Batman
best?
film hadn't been put on this list, I feel like I would have had more leeway to say yes to this.
You should say yes to this so that Lego Batman doesn't make it to the top 5. Yeah. You use it as a tool.
I was very keen on Lego Batman not making it to the top 5. I just don't know what you guys are going to say at other future movies, and I want my other movies to be on the other Batman movies to be on the list, because this wouldn't have been in my top 5.
Is it in your top 7?
Would it creep into your 7?
It would have been borderline. My 7th would have been a rotating feast, probably, of Batman films. Also, is it truly a Batman film?
It features Batman, so it counts for this list.
He is a major He is
He is a major
one of
part
the
of
major
these films.
parts.
Part of it. That he's a major part.
So, I mean, as much as Wonder Woman and The Flash and Cyborg, although it is probably more Cyborg's movie than it is anybody else's story-wise.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, he's the heart of the movie, isn't he? Cyborg.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends. Like realistically, 2 Zack Snyder movies going to get onto this top 7, and which one would you be leaning towards? There you go. I'll throw that in the mix.
Let's put 2 on. Let's put 2 on.
This is difficult.
We're not even at the
Have
top
we got-
5 bit yet.
I was going to say, have we got a 2-headed coin? Have we got a 2-headed coin? Is it rubbed off on one side? Can we flip a coin?
Hey, I'd have that movie over this.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say no to this.
He's going to say no.
But by a hair's breadth.
Well, there is one person who could keep it alive, but I don't think he's going to. Chris?
Absolutely not. No way. I watched Man of Steel, being a huge Superman fan, and I was just crushed. I thought it was awful. It was such a disservice to Superman, and I was so disappointed. I did not. I refused to see Batman versus Superman, and I'm glad I didn't, based on what people who had seen it have said. And I refused. I didn't go and see Justice League. So when I heard that the Snyder Cut was coming out, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should give this a shot. And I watched it. So I went from Man of Steel to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I still thought it was a confusing mess.
You missed out the middle bit though.
Well,
Did you watch Batman versus Superman?
No.
But there's a whole chunk missing from you've like watched you've watched a trilogy without the middle bit.
Well, I know, but Martha, oh, why'd you say that? And then that was it. It was fine,
And that's it. Yeah,
I honestly don't think that's bad. I
don't think that scene. I don't think that scene is that bad. No.
I like
so
it, yeah.
I liked the movie enough to be entertained. But when it coming to this list, I think Ben Affleck is one of the weaker Batman. And in this film in particular, he looks bored. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. So it's a no from me.
So the first film that doesn't make it on, Zack Snyder's Justice League does not make this list.
Yeah, well, I had to give it a try.
Yeah. So, Ollie, are you gonna try?
Shall we? Let's get it over with. Let's either get it on there, or I can move on. So let's say Batman versus Superman. Am I allowed to have the director's cut version? I don't think that ever had a theatrical release, but it is a better version of the movie, particularly as we've said, like watching the trilogy. The only bit I don't like about the movie is the kind of when they resurrect whatever his name is at the end and turn him into a big monster, and then they fight him.
Oh, Doomsday.
Yeah,
Zod into Doomsday.
Yeah, so I don't know. The CGI on that wasn't the best, and it just looked like any other kind of big monster.
Like a giant Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Is what it looked
like.
Or
it was very reminiscent of Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. It could have been the same. Could have been the same CGI that they just lifted out of that and put in and made it a bit bigger. Having said that, I do really enjoy this movie. I do prefer Zack Snyder's Justice League over this. But one of the things, like when you've got Batman and Superman and they're having a fight, somebody once told me, a big Batman fan once told me, that every time Batman and Superman have ever had a fight, Batman's always won, because he's always had a bit of kryptonite in his little belt. I really like Ben Affleck as Batman. I would love to see a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie or series. I hope that happens at some point. I've already mentioned I'd really like to see the completion of the Snyderverse, like Justice League.
He is back in the Flash.
Yeah.
So
So it's there's still hope. I'm not really selling it, am I? Let's try and give you some more. That scene in the warehouse is an incredible fight between the two of them, and I like this Batman's gadgets, and he's got his different kind of suits for different reasons. Jeremy Irons is brilliant in it as well. He's kind of like an older kind of grumpy Alfred who's kind of fed up with Bruce Wayne's nonsense, but yet he's still his loyal kind of his loyal man, and he helps him, and he's there kind of tinkering away trying to fix all his tech. Yeah, I really like this movie, and I think we should have a Zack Snyder Batman movie on this list. So go for it. Do it.
Yeah. To be honest, I did write it down. I wrote 9 movies down, and it came in at number 9 on my list of Batman movies. So I can't, in good conscience, say yes.
That's sort of top 7.
Sort of, but not quite. There was Joel Schumacher one above it, Ollie, I'm afraid.
No.
Yeah, that's just because it came out when I was a kid. That one.
Release a nipple cut.
No, it wasn't that one. But no, it's an okay and entertaining-ish film. The last third is not great. Yeah, it's fine. I was entertained in the theater. I didn't think it was awful, but it's still not the greatest Batman movie, with not the greatest Batman, and it followed on from the really bad, in my opinion, Man of Steel. So it was going to be a hard sell for me anyway. And yeah, the I don't know, Abomination Doomsday thing at the end, didn't like it. Is she with you? I thought she was with you. Yeah, and
I quite like that bit.
I mean,
I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, it's so. But yeah, no, for me, it's nowhere near the top 7 of Batman. So it's a no from me. Chris, you haven't seen this movie.
I haven't seen it, thankfully.
So, John, are you keeping it alive?
No, I'm not.
No,
I'll come straight out. I think the problem for me on this film is probably the best moments are reserved for basically the extended cameo of Wonder Woman. I think Jesse Eisenberg just really doesn't do it for me. And if nothing else, he gets more on my nerves as Lex Luthor than he does ever anything else. I can see why they were trying to go with it, but it just didn't work for me. Also, I don't think it's Batman versus Superman. I just don't think they kind of. I think it's weighted funny. Between the two main characters. So yeah, I'm gonna say no. Unfortunately, sorry, Ollie.
There's no Zack Snyder on this
list.
It's
National Lampoons all over again.
Yeah. So, Tony, would you have said yes to this Zack Snyder one?
Funny enough, I was actually thinking I would say yes to this one. So I'm going to say yes. I would agree. It has it. I think I actually did enjoy it more than I did Justice League. Either of them.
I did, yeah, as well. I agree.
And yeah, Doomsday at the end is crap. And my brother was a massive Superman fan as a child, and he had all the comics, and I used to read them after he'd read them. I remember reading the whole Doomsday Death of Superman arc when it came out originally, and that was amazing. If they adapted that story, that would have been something else. So yeah, the ending was a bit crap, but the extended version is better. I really love the theme tune that's in Man of Steel. You know, the Superman theme. So for that reason alone, whenever I hear it, I'm gonna put it in the Batman.
I like the Lex Luthor theme. Dun, 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 dun. It's brilliant, isn't it? Was it Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, it was Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer to the noughties is what Danny Elfman was to the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So while not a perfect film, I feel it had potential, and that's why I will say yes in this. What I will say is the best Lex Luthor that has been on screen was in Smallville by is it Michael Rosebaum that played him?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has ever topped him for depth of character.
You're rating him over Gene Hackman?
Yes,
Sorry.
I am massively.
Sorry, I'm rating John Shear over both of those.
Yeah, I didn't.
I like Jesse
He
Eisenberg.
was good as well. I liked him.
Yeah.
He was Lex Luthor as well. But
in
yeah,
Supergirl, yeah.
love the character, but him, Kevin Spacey, and to a degree, Jesse Eisenberg, they're just ham it up. It doesn't feel like a real life character.
The three people that were nominated for Oscars in different guises.
But the guy that played him in Smallville, I would say, like, he could be funny, but he had such a range and depth that I don't think if they could copy that, they would be onto something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they put it on TV recently for the Flashpoint incident, they chose John Cryer.
Cryer, yeah.
From
Supergirl.
From 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
He was in Superman 3, wasn't it? Superman 4.
4. Yes.
Yeah.
His nephew.
Yes, that's it.
Wow.
There's a story. There's a production.
Stuff goes
story.
full circle. Yeah.
So sorry, Ollie, I couldn't save.
So Zack Snyder has not got anywhere near this top 7, I'm afraid. So we're round to me, and where do we go?
Just say it, Paul. You know you want to.
Well, I do want to, but there are other movies, and I feel like we need to address Mr. Bale as well. We haven't mentioned him yet, and I'm going to start out where he started out. I think Batman Begins deserves to be on this list. I think it's a brilliant reintroduction to this character. I think you feel the grittiness that Chris Nolan was trying to get at in resurrecting this character after what had happened with Joel Schumacher and George Clooney's Batman and Robin. This was a character that was laughable after that movie, and they took him to a real place. Christian Bale bulking up to be Bruce Wayne and Batman, introducing villains that weren't really known to the public. Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul never been seen on screen before. Comic book fans know them, but the general public didn't know these characters, and managed to ingratiate the audience with this, changing up the feel of the Batmobile, turning it into the tumbler tank. I just think that everything that Christopher Nolan was trying to get across was done outstandingly well in this movie. I think it does the final act. There is a twist in this movie. I quite like the twist. So yeah, for me, Batman Begins deserves to be in the top 7 Batman movies. Tony?
Sorry, my girlfriend was just bringing me some more water.
That's all right.
Yes, hard yes for me. Big fan of Christopher Nolan trilogy. This would be my second favorite of the 3, I would say. The music, the more realistic, kind of grounded Batman, you could almost imagine him operating in our world, and perhaps sometimes would. Wish would. I even like Christian Bale's put on Batman voice.
Yeah,
I knew had a lot of stick. So yeah, definitely yes from me. I think, well, Christopher Nolan always has a vision for his films, and I wouldn't necessarily say I like all his films either. So, but I felt he got Batman right, and he said he was a fan of Batman ever since he was a child, and felt he was the only superhero with human qualities because all his superpowers were, kind of his intelligence or his detective work. So the only complaint I would have about this film is you were waiting for the sequel and you knew the Joker was coming. So it kind of like it was kind of like a starter before the main meal.
I think it was nice that he didn't run out the gate with the most famous villain. I think that was
Well, I mean, I thought the Scarecrow particularly was an effective bad guy, and one that I was aware of in Batman lore, and I always thought would be a good on-screen villain. Ra's al Ghul, yeah, he was all right. Could take or leave him. I thought Scarecrow was better personally, and in fact, I thought he could have been developed more in future films.
Yeah,
but yes, it's a yes from me.
Chris, Batman Begins.
I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. I think he's done a lot of good films. I'm a big Christian Bale fan. I think he's an incredible actor. But I think this is the weakest of the trilogy. There are two better films that should be going on this list. I think the villains are really weak. I think Scarecrow, the CGI is awful in Scarecrow. He wasn't underserved, not written well, and I cannot stand Christian Bale's voice in it. It's awful. So it's a no from me.
Okay, John, Batman Begins.
Right. Okay. I think this is actually this is probably one of the best versions of Batman Year One that has been explored so far. I mean, this is Bruce Wayne coming of age and going off to learn his skills so he can become the Bat. And in doing so makes a powerful friend and a powerful enemy. I knew about the Scarecrow because back in the day there was a comic book called Judgment on Gotham, which was actually a Judge Dredd crossover with Batman, and Scarecrow was kind of like the Batman villain in it. And yeah, it was really icky, nasty idea, but really effective. Really, and Cillian Murphy is really good in the film. And he plays it on just the right side of spook. He makes you uncomfortable, but he can kind of get away with it. I think Liam Neeson is fun. I think it looks great. It was a very good way to reinvent the character. I mean, yeah, as we say, it's not a sleek sports car. It's a tumbler. It's an ex-military vehicle. His armor is for spelunking. There's a lot more people in this who know who he is and what he's doing, but don't ask questions than you usually see. And I think that kind of makes it more realistic. I like Christian Bale. I think even Katie Holmes plays her part in it.
Yeah,
trying to keep his human side. But yeah, this is one of the top 3 Chris Nolan Batmans. So yes, it should go on the list.
It has 3 votes. It's made it on the list. Ollie, would have you given it a 4th?
Yeah, it's not my favorite of the trilogy, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good Batman Origins movie. I liked that they didn't go straight off the bat with one of the more recognizable main villains. Amazing cast. So many people in it.
We haven't even mentioned Morgan Freeman or Michael Caine. And
No.
No,
Yeah.
and who played Gordon?
Gary
Gary
Oldman.
Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Yeah.
yeah,
But
What a cast.
then you got Rutger Hauer just popping up
Yeah.
as the head of Wayne Enterprises.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Such a strong cast. A brilliant start to that trilogy. Is he my favorite Batman? He's not, but the movies they are good movies. So yeah, I'd say yes.
So 4 votes. Batman Begins is the 3rd movie on this list. We only have 3 so far in Batman Returns, The Lego Batman, and Batman Begins. Back round to Tony. What you got for your second pick?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the one. I've got 2 that should be in the top 3, besides Batman Returns, and I know one of you will say the other one, so I'm gonna go with Batman, the Michael Keaton one. I'm doing all the love for Michael Keaton.
Batman,
yeah, 1989. I was 11 years old. It was a 12 certificate movie, so I couldn't get in to see it. I remember watching it on VHS with my brother and my mum falling asleep through it. But yeah, I loved. I mean, it felt a bit adult as a child, and still accessible for an 11-year-old to watch.
Yeah,
it kind of felt a bit naughty, because I think it was actually upgraded to 15 on video.
well, they didn't have a 12 certificate at the time on the video.
So, and yeah, I think at times, particularly Jack Nicholson's performance when he electrocuted the guy in the chair, you know, like it did like shock and scare you as a child, but I just loved it from minute one. Also, like in 1989 when it came out, there were 2 films I wanted to see that year. One was this, but more so I wanted to see Ghostbusters 2. But that didn't come out till January 1990 in the UK, and I did see that at the cinema.
Oh, no, end of December, mate. I went to see it end of December.
That was my very first film at the cinema, Ghostbusters 2.
A lot of love for Ghostbusters 2. Anyway, I'm digressing, but like the whole Batman phenomenon, like it just went across the world. With the the Prince soundtrack, and as Ollie had touched upon earlier on, Danny Elfman's score. I mean, that Batman theme's incredible. It makes the hairs on your arm stand up whenever you hear it. I mean, even from the the title sequence at the beginning where you're going around the Batman sign, you're kind of, it's setting the ground as this is not Adam West.
Yeah.
So everything from the Gothic architecture design to Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. I really wanted to see a 3rd Batman film with him in.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say that Jack Nicholson outshone Michael Keaton in it, and maybe an argument for that, but I think Michael Keaton held his own in a different way. I think Jack Nicholson's amazing in it. He owned that performance. Some people say he was a bit hammy, but I think that's kind of perhaps what the role called for. And, Bruce Wayne still had, he was, dark and sullen, but he still had sparks of humor in him when he's Bruce Wayne. So, yeah, I just remember it being a whole, like, you could not escape Batman in 1989. That was the film to watch. Prince dancing around. Was he the Joker in one of his videos?
Well, no, he was actually cut. He had the makeup in half.
Yeah,
and the 2 suits.
So, yeah, that is an iconic movie.
It is,
and deserves to be in the top 5.
Okay, Chris, is Batman making this list? 1989.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Absolutely. This is by far the best Batman film on film. I absolutely love this. I didn't get to see it in the cinema because I was too young. but I got in to see Batman Returns. Still have a ticket stub. And yeah, this is I fell in love with Batman watching this film. Michael Keaton, 5'9", he gives us young short people hope that we can all be heroes, superheroes. And Jack Nicholson is just amazing as the Joker. And you've got all these other supporting characters. Kim Basinger is amazing as the Femme Fatale. And who else have you got?
Ken Wall,
Jack Palance.
Yeah,
he's really weird in this film. And yeah, what Tony said about the score and Prince's soundtrack, and you know, so many great lines from it. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
And it's the best Batmobile.
And it is the best Batmobile. Yes. Yes, it is. This is my toy from 1990, I love it. I love this film, and thank the Lord for Tim Burton for bringing this and this to film and reigniting the superhero genre, which he really did with Batman '89. Yeah, I can't sing the praises enough of this film. I absolutely love it.
John, is it going on the list?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I think it's pretty much covered. You've got What Happened to Jerry Hall. Her character getting
oh, you thought you meant her marrying Rupert Murdoch.
Well, that too. Apparently she did that on purpose. The model character getting squirted in the face with acid, and she's being presented as this work of art. And I want you to take pictures of what I do, and it was great. And the whole idea of the Smilex gas, which goes right back to the early days of Joker. Being a chemist and being really good, having a brain. I mean, he is really played as a hood in this, up until the point where he falls into the vat. But yeah, the Joker has been a biochemist and all sorts. So the whole idea of Smilex gas and Batman actually doing some detective work. Of actually working out it's the hygiene products that are causing it, and being ready for the Joker with the balloons at the end. Is it Robert Wall, or I think it's Robert Wall who plays the newspaper man who's chasing down the Batman. For years, I've always quoted the line, Bob Gunn. Thank you, Bob. It's just the lovely offhand ways. And I think, okay, Jack Nicholson isn't the definitive Joker, but he puts in a really good performance and he plays with what he's got. Apparently, a lot of the laughter around the set was because crew members were hiding $100 bills in the set. And it cracked him up because he was getting paid so much more money than anybody else on that film. So, little tidbit: Robin Williams was the first villain he lost out playing.
Thank God.
So, but there we go. Yes, on the list.
Nice one.
I would say that Jack Nicholson does give Heath Ledger a good run for his money. His Batman, his Joker is. They are very different worlds, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Well, I think that there is a lot of different people who played the Joker outstandingly well, including Joaquin Phoenix, who got an Oscar for it. There's 3 different versions of the Joker, and they're all very, very different, and they're all very, very good, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think they all give each other a run for their money.
Mark Hamill's version is very good as well.
Yes, in the animated fair. He is. So, yeah. Sorry, I interjected there. Ollie, are you saying yes to Batman? It's got 3 votes. It's there.
Yes, yeah, it's a big yes from me. I loved it as a kid. I didn't get to see it at the cinema. I was too young. But when it came out on VHS, I think we borrowed my mate's older brother's copy and watched it when we had a sleepover, and it was brilliant. Like Chris said, fell in love with the character from then. Probably, he's definitely my top 2 comic book characters of all time, thanks to this movie. I think you could take Jack Nicholson's Joker and you could put him in any other Batman movie pretty much without altering him, and it would work.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Well,
you don't have to change him that much. I think it would work in any of the other, in the Nolan films. Maybe not.
Maybe his
Zack Snyder
dress
films.
sense, Ollie.
well, I mean,
Maybe his outfits.
but then
I don't
again,
know.
if you watch The Departed, I mean, this is something we're heads up, we've got an Oscar special coming soon.
And
if you
Martin
watch
Scorsese, so we've
and,
got
yeah,
we've got
but-
Departed covered.
yeah, but Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed is not 100 miles away from this Joker. So, and I can see what you're saying, Ollie. This, I mean, if you took the character from The Departed and put him in the Nolan films, it's not a huge jump.
No,
I think it'd work. Yeah, big yes from me. You guys have covered it all. It's brilliant. One of those kind of huge nostalgic movies from our youth that, because of the comic book nature of it, actually, I think this one holds up pretty well. I prefer this one to Batman Returns. Yeah, put it on the list.
nice one. It gets a 5th vote from me as well. Yes, I think even though Michael Keaton couldn't really turn in his Batman suit, you still bought him as being able to fight people. Yeah, it was. There's so much iconic stuff in there. Brilliant cast. Tim Burton built his world for Batman, and I think that he did very, very well. I think there are better Batman movies. I'm sorry, Chris, but this one definitely deserves. I have it in my top 5. So, with 5 votes, it is there. So we now have 4. Both Tim Burton Batman movies have made it on our initial list. John, what have you got this time round?
I'm going to go for the one on my list that, I'm going to go for the one on my list which probably won't get mentioned. I think the Mask of the Phantasm, the animated Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill. I think that it's actually very good. One of the strange things about the animated Batman series was it was actually almost the perfect Batman. But it was done in a nice retro. It had a nice retro style. I think it's Art Deco.
Yeah, it's Art Deco.
But he kind of incorporated modern ideas, and Batman didn't kill people, but there was a lot of violence in it. To be fair, there was a lot of fighting, and explosions, which really made it all the better. Fast forwards, the first Batman films released, maybe in the second one, but then they released an animated one based on the TV show. Now, I've talked about year one with Batman Begins. This kind of covers the same sort of ground again in retrospect. The story revolves around events that are happening now that are reflections of events that started happening back when he was first setting out being the vigilante. So it involves it kind of revolves around his choice of whether to become Batman or whether to be with the woman he loves at the time, and he makes the decision, and it goes from there. But I think it's actually watching this today, so really fresh eyes, first time I've watched it. And I think that it's actually it's really good at storytelling, and it doesn't quite do the origin story. It takes that one step forward, exactly the same as Batman, almost the same as Batman Begins, but it also has the parallel plot with it, which kind of lifts it that little bit, which makes it more interesting. And Batman doesn't do everything right. He has his ups, he has his downs, but in the end, the world prevails. So I think that this is an outsider, but I think this is definitely worth a shot.
Okay, Ollie, animated Mask of the Phantasm.
I'm sorry, John, but I've not actually seen it. You did mention that this was a good movie and deserved checking out. And it sounds really good, and I will check it out, but I haven't actually seen that one.
Okay, no. I've seen it. I watched it on Friday, John, and it's good, but I don't think it's great. And I think there are 7 great Batman movies. So unfortunately, it's a no from me. But it is a good. It's a good film. It's entertaining. I think Kevin Conroy's Batman's interesting. I saw the twist coming. I don't know whether that was obvious because it was an animated movie, but and it is intended for a more younger audience. But yeah, it's entertaining. But yeah, for me, it's not featuring near the top 7. So unfortunately, it's a no from me. Tony, Mask of the Phantasm.
Again, I'm kind of torn because I think the animated series is brilliant and would actually translate extremely well into a Batman television show. You know, that kind of style, that type of Bruce Wayne and Batman, and how they carry it off, I thought would translate very well into a live action version. I feel with this one there were more interesting Batman episodes than the film was.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But it's close.
So it hasn't made the list. Chris, are you a fan of Mask of the Phantasm?
I am. I think it's really good. I was a big fan of the animated series and Kevin Conroy as Batman. And this carries that on perfectly. It's beautifully animated. The Gotham looks gorgeous. Yeah, it would have been a yes from me.
Okay, with two votes, it hasn't made it, but still recommended by the panel there, I would say. So
3 out of my top 4 have already gone through. So I am going to go with The Dark Knight. This for me is my favorite Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale film. It doesn't have to deal with the origin story. It gets straight in, and Batman is up against Heath Ledger's Joker, who is terrifying. It took me a while to warm to the idea of Christian Bale as Batman, and I set aside my issues with Batman Begins, and I was just completely hooked with The Dark Knight. I think it's fantastic. Peak Batman, and yeah, Heath Ledger was phenomenal as the Joker, and in particular the scene with him, his entrance in the kitchen with the gangsters, just yeah, wild. And such a shame that we lost him when we did, because I think he had so much more to give as an actor. But yeah, that's my pick.
Okay. So I should be going to John. So John, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. Yes. This is one of the top 3 Christopher Nolan Batman films. So yes, this is. I have a feeling the second films are the ones where they hit their strides, because they've kind of done what they need to do all their introductions, and then you've got your characters, so then they can just go hell for leather on the second ones. Hell for leather being Heath Ledger being a complete and utter nut job, which Jared
You're going to drop a C-bomb then.
I did as well.
And then he does it in such a better way than Jared Leto ever did, trying to become the Joker. And you don't know who he is. He is pure chaos. And some of the setups that like the bits on the ferry, and the fact that they steal all the money, and then he has a petrol can. Even the opening in the bank is a beautiful bit of cinema. But you have no idea of what this guy is capable of doing, and it turns out he's capable of doing an awful lot. And I think it shows how far Batman's willing to go to find out, to work out what's going on, and to track down his man, using the art installation as was, which was basically listening into every single microphone on every single mobile phone, just so he can find where he hides out. The truck chase through the middle of Chicago and through the underpasses is stunning, and realistic. There is something about practical effects that just makes it work so much better. It makes comic book things seem real, and I think that's basically where we stand on this. And also the heartache involved with Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, and is it the same character, isn't it? Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, she's the same. Rachel Dawes.
That's her. So I think it's really cool. This is the best of those three.
Ollie?
I agree. It's my favorite of the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Heath Ledger was absolutely terrifying and brilliant as the Joker, and everyone said, "Oh no, how are you going to top Jack Nicholson's Joker?" And then Heath Ledger, I think, does in the end. The bit where he's dressed as a nurse and he's walking away from the hospital, and he has to press the thing, that was improvised, because it was supposed to go on the first one, but it didn't. So he just keeps whacking it until it blows up.
Yeah.
What amazing foresight to just improvise that. Or he could have ruined it. Could have ruined that take. Like you said, practical effects, absolutely amazing, and makes this comic book world seem like it's the real world. I like the realism of Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. I like that in any kind of comic book movie. I want to feel as if it could actually happen, and they certainly do that. So it's my favorite of the Christopher Nolan films.
Nice one. That's three. It's there. I would have been a yes as well. I think I'll quite happily listen to the argument that this is possibly the best Batman film ever made. I think that the performance from Christian Bale as Batman is brilliant. The performance from Heath as the Joker is even better. The two of them play off each other so well. He got his Oscar posthumously and well deserved. I think that he makes a pencil disappear, and that is a brilliant scene. Magic. I think it's great. I think the only thing that lets it down for me is the third act. I don't think the turn of Harvey Dent works as well as it could, and that's the only thing for me personally that lets it down ever so slightly. but that's me picking holes in what is ultimately a very, very, very good Batman movie. So that's 4. Tony?
Yeah, this would have been in my top 3 for all the reasons that you guys are saying. I would like to mention, though, the guy that plays Harvey Dent, is it Aaron?
Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart, yeah.
His performance is great.
He's very good as Harvey. I don't like his turn as Two-Face. I think the third act turn as Two-Face doesn't work perfectly for me. I think his Harvey Dent is brilliant.
Yeah, I think they would have been better upsetting him in the first one, and having him, just a little bit more have hit. Like if they got him in the first one, I think that would have worked beautifully.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's probably my favorite Christopher Nolan film. This one.
Ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a kind of love-hate with Christopher Nolan. I love some of his films and dislike others. Controversial, I know, but I'm the same with Quentin Tarantino even more. So, but it's very thriller-like, and it reminds me. The beginning particularly reminds me of Heat and Michael Mann films. It has that feeling about it, and as John said, the bit in the Chicago underpass as well, that kind of nighttime feeling kind of had something of what was the film with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise?
Collateral.
Yeah, that nighttime scene. I don't know why I had a bit of feeling of that about it, but I feel like Chicago kind of becomes another character in the the first 2 Batman films anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure there's much more that could be said about.
No, I mean he decided to roll out the IMAX cameras as well for this, which I think worked in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
So
there were 2 in the world, and he destroyed 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had Heath Ledger not passed away, I would have definitely liked to have seen him still have quite a significant role in the 3rd film. And in fact, I kind of almost wish they ended the trilogy with this film.
Yeah.
But also it was good to see Scarecrow again. I quite like him popping up through the 3 films and Cillian Murphy. So
nice.
Yeah, not much else to say. Oh, one of the guys in it's from Lincolnshire, my home county.
They shot some of it in Bedfordshire, didn't they? In old air hangars. If you drive along, I think it's the A421. You see these kind of big aircraft hangars, and I think that's the first movies that was shot there. Bedfordshire.
Isn't that where the Top Gear track is?
I don't think so. Don't know.
No. But there we go. 5 votes. Dark Knight is on this list. Is it me next? No, it's Ollie. It's Ollie.
It's me.
It's Ollie.
Do we have 6 then?
We're going to go for 7.
We go for 7. We currently have 5. We have Batman Returns, the Lego Batman movie, Batman Begins, Batman 89, and The Dark Knight are our 5 so far. Ollie, can you give us the 6th one?
Yeah, I can. This is definitely going on the list. The Batman. So this was been a long time coming. I think it was announced probably like 4 years ago that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, and everybody went, "What? The guy from Twilight?" But then you watch the movie, and he's a younger Batman than the last Batman that we saw at the cinema, and he's brilliant. He is such a good actor, and what I really enjoyed about his performance as Bruce Wayne and Batman, they're different. Like, as Batman, he's Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, he's vulnerable and he's kind of depressed, and you see all of that in him. Like, and almost every shot, almost every close-up shot of Batman, there's almost like a tear in his eye. Did anybody else kind of notice that or kind of feel that? Like he's really kind of conflicted and like I don't know, depressed. But I thought Gotham City looked amazing. That they filmed bits of it in Liverpool and all over the place, I believe. But I just thought the whole thing looked fantastic. Sorry, Tony.
I think some was Chicago again as well.
Yeah. And Ireland, somewhere in Ireland as well. Maybe Dublin.
Oh, and Glasgow. The end scenes in Glasgow. That's the the Acropolis, is it? The
graveyard.
Graveyard, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought he was an absolutely brilliant Batman. I really enjoyed this. It was a long movie. It was nearly 3 hours long, but I think all of it was justified. There's nothing that I don't see any point in kind of cutting down a movie for the sake of runtime if what you're going to show the audience is good. And I enjoyed every minute of it. I think it's definitely needs to be on the list.
No, that's one. The Batman. I'm going to wholeheartedly agree. I think that Robert Pattinson was brilliant. I think he's surrounded by a cast of absolutely brilliant actors. I think Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, although not the best Catwoman put to screen, was outstanding in this movie. I think Colin Farrell, you can't tell it's him, and he plays a very different Penguin, but he plays the enforcer Penguin, the Penguin that is under Falcone, and Falcone is played brilliantly again. John Turturro playing Falcone. Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright. I think the turn there is brilliant. There's a very slight dig at using guns, which I thought was a very funny line in this movie. I think that it was the most grounded Batman we've had ever. It felt like it could have been in this real world. Its inspiration has been Zodiac and Seven. The Riddler character is based off of the Zodiac killer, the real Zodiac killer that terrorized California. San Francisco in the late 70s. And I think that this film feels gritty and real. I liked that that Matt Reeves changed it up. He went with different takes on the Batman. His Bruce Wayne is not a playboy at all. He's a damaged individual who's still young and suffering from the loss of his parents when he was a kid, which is part of Batman's arc, and changed his persona, I think, to a believable one that Bruce Wayne could have turned into. This depressed individual who doesn't really want to be Bruce Wayne, and the Bat is the only thing that's there. I think the violence is portrayed brilliantly, and for me, the score of this movie by Michael Giacchino is unbelievable. For me, it tops all of the previous Batman scores. Personally,
I'd agree. That piano
for me, the
introduction of the first time you see Batman with that voiceover. Yeah. Incredible
for me. Incredible. And I think the cinematography on this movie is unbelievable. There's a scene where he's coming out of a lift into a hallway, and I just the muzzle flashes worked brilliantly. I was blown away, and it's the best Batman movie made. For me, it's the best Batman movie that has been put to film. There is nothing better that I have seen, and there have been other outstanding Batman movies that we've already mentioned. I'm surprised. I was genuinely surprised how good this movie was. So it's a big yes from me. Tony, I'm throwing to you. I've just praised quite highly the Batman, and Tony, what do you think of the Batman?
I'm afraid it's a no from me for the list. And it is. I didn't think it was a terrible movie. I thought it wasn't bad. But also, I actually feel like I probably need to watch it again. But I felt like it was too long. I felt like two movies, not one. And if they'd kind of given the script another pass, they would have had a far better movie. I thought Paul Dano was great, but not in it anywhere near enough. I wanted to see more of him and more of his reasoning behind what he's doing, which I imagine will be explored further in a sequel.
Potentially.
I do think the cinematography was brilliant, and I did like the score. I don't think it's the best Batman score by Danny Elfman is the winner on that by a significant way, but I thought it was really good. The only problem with the score was after I'd been to the cinema to see it, I still had it in my head, that piano key note in my head hours later, and it felt like it become a form of torture rather than enjoyment.
I've genuinely, I got downloaded the score, and I don't often do that to films. That's what it did to me. I thought it was brilliant, and I've listened to it since.
So I was humming it for a solid day afterwards.
Yeah. It was good. The cinematography is brilliant, and I did like Zoe Kravitz. I thought she was, really good Batwoman. She did surprise me, and Colin Farrell was great, and most of the actors. I thought Andy Serkis was a bit underused.
I would agree there. I think that he was potentially of the major cast the most underused or underutilized member. But yes,
Matt Reeves had said that he based his Bruce Wayne on Kurt Cobain, which I never think is a good start.
I liked the Nirvana track in it. That was great. They used it twice, didn't they? Yeah. That worked really well.
Again, unfortunately, I am a Foo Fighters fan rather than a Nirvana fan, and a New Order fan rather than a Joy Division fan. So, again, that didn't massively work for me. I like the opening sequence. However, his voiceover really annoyed me from the get-go. It got better in the film, I think, when I got used to it. And I really liked the beginning in the visual aspect and what he was saying. But how he was saying it just, I don't know, grated on me for some reason. Bearing in mind I was 2 days after an operation, so it may not have been the best.
Watch it again. Watch it again. I reckon you perhaps enjoy it more on a second pass.
And I also felt that it had pilfered from other Batman films and inserted different plot elements into it. And I remember reading a review just before saying, while it's not a bad film, it has nothing new to say as a Batman film. And that's ultimately what I felt.
Okay. And I mean, it has been a no, but I'm just gonna drop it in, Tony. We have 2 slots left, so just in the back of your head,
I've got one.
Have you got 2 that are better?
Stop trying to push.
Well, surely
I'm pushing Ollie's nomination here.
Well, to be honest, I think I would bring back Justice League before I would bring back the Batman.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's already gone. John, what do you think of the Batman?
I went to see this the other night. Thursday night. Nice local cinema. Big up to the Regent Street Cinema in London. Nice independence. I knew we were going to be doing this. I knew it was 3 hours long. I knew I didn't have the time to watch it any other time. So I went and saw it. I sat there pre-show and they're playing Hans Zimmer. They're playing the score from The Dark Knight. And that is the best score. The reason I don't rate Michael Cicchino's score on this, it just felt too much. It was overwhelming, and I just really didn't like it. Having said that, going to the film, I think the idea of using the Riddler, who's a character that's not very underused, and Jim Carrey's played for laughs, but this is very dark. Paul Dano actually does a really good job on this, and many props to him for that. And it's where I've been saying that other films have been referring to kind of year one, Batman Begins starting his introduction to. This is kind of like year two. In fact, I think he says something about he's been doing it for 2 years.
Yeah, it's intended to be year two.
Yeah, so he's kind of he's known for doing it. He's kind of caught his stride, but he's still not. He still hasn't finessed his way in. So I liked that about the character. I loved his bat suit. The fact that it's more armor than latex. Latex, for want of a better word. I like it made sense. It all makes sense.
And without spoiling it, I quite like what they did with the cape.
Yes,
so for me, that was used very well and made sense in the realms of this movie.
But I also referring to that part. This is why that's why it's year two. He hasn't got around to being able to do everything that you would expect Batman to be able to do. So I like that. I like the fact that Bruce Wayne is a younger Batman. I like the fact that he still hasn't quite gained the trust of the police and the locals and things like that. The problem is I found that Captain Gordon, does he start off as lieutenant?
Lieutenant, yeah, then captain, yeah.
Very quickly rises the ranks. I found him brainless. I felt that he was so many steps behind. He was. I found Catwoman was Zoe Kravitz was underwritten. She felt like it just. Somebody, I think Tony, you said about having the script having another pass.
Yeah,
I think there were certain story beats in it which just they weren't written well. Now, and I can't, not that she was wasted, but I just don't think the full it was fully she reached the full potential. The plot was very, very large and sprawling, and to the point where certain plot points finish, and then you look at your watch and you go, "Oh my god, we've still got time." And I liked the fact that they tried to make him smarter and quick, a little more quick-witted, thinking things through, more intelligent. But I found the characterization to be very stilted. I mean, obviously, standing there in a full suit of armor, you're not going to move too much. But the Batman didn't seem to be. Basically, you didn't get the different layers that you got with Keaton and Kilmer and Bale, and they've all kind of sort of done this part before. The cinematography is amazing. There are some beautiful shots. There's a bit with a overhead shot with a flare towards the end. The bit in the elevator that Paul alluded to with the muzzle flashes, I've seen that before, and strangely that was a Christian Bale film. But
Equilibrium was that?
Equilibrium.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I think you're right. I think it borrows an awful lot. I don't think there is that much in it that's new and improved. I think it's put together well, but I don't think it's an amazing 5-star film. I'll put it like that. It's good, but I don't think it's kind
4
of
stars.
up there.
4 stars then.
Yeah.
4.5.
I'd give it a low 4. I think it's overlong, and I think it's misplotted. Having said all that, considering the films left on the list,
don't do it, John.
Do it, John.
You see, I've got a soft spot for 1966.
Do it. Do it.
No.
You can't beat a bit of shark repellent. Come on.
Shark repellent.
Shark repellent.
Shark wrestling. Oh yes. It's not as Flash. It does sit. It does kind of sit well. It does sit well with the Nolans. It's very it's a very halfway. It's not quite one, and it's not quite the other.
I feel like they've got somewhere to go with it. Like, I feel like it was a brilliant movie, and I still feel like, because you didn't really get to see him battle a baddie, did you? You saw him being clever and intelligent and solving these riddles. But he was never going to fight the Riddler, was he?
But that's the point. That's the point of the Riddler. It is.
In a sequel to this movie, then you're going to get to see him kind of duel it out with another villain.
But in fact, this did feel an awful lot like the Dark Knight with the Joker in the police cell, and
yeah, I'd agree with that.
There are a lot of echoes.
I think it shows a lot more of his detecting than you've ever seen on film before, and I think that's possibly why you felt Gordon was steps behind, because they were trying to show how good Batman is at being the world's greatest detective.
Yeah,
Gordon's the only one that recognizes that Batman's a good guy. He's on their side.
No.
He's better at the job than.
I know, but that for me creates plot hole, because like the police are just like, oh yeah, crazy vigilante in a big bat suit.
But they're all corrupt, aren't they? So a lot of those guys are corrupt. So
but Gordon's sitting there in a corrupt police department, and the thoughts never crossed his mind that this might.
It has. But there's not much you can do about it, is there? When you're surrounded by it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the fact
until he gets to the top, until he's Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, but he felt. I don't know. I just kind of felt that everyone was kind of played down instead. But
that being said, John, you've said that it's a low 4-star film. So does it make the top 7 of Batman?
I think it has to make the top 7.
3 votes. It has made it on the initial list. Chris?
I have not seen this yet. And from what you guys have said and from what I've read, it seems like a bit mixed bag. So I'll probably be going in with even more trepidation than I did have. And
that's probably a good thing.
I was about to say,
you'll go in even-handed, and you'll probably
we've run the gamut of opinions here. So I don't think you've got a preconceived one now, which is probably a good thing, and I hope for the audience it does as well.
I'll probably come out with an earworm and.
Can I just make one more point?
Nirvana will be running around your head.
Never mind.
Well done. Can I just make one more point? I felt that this movie almost felt a little. It reminded me of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. The voiceover, the music, the Watchmen. I think most people would agree is one of the best comic book movies ever made. And for me, at times, it felt very much like that. It felt real and gritty in the cinematography. It felt like it had a strong Zack Snyder kind of influence in it, which is what I liked about it. Matt Reeves is a brilliant director in his own right. I really liked what he did with the Planet of the Apes movies. They're absolutely fantastic. Had a bit of that feel about it, which I liked.
Excellent. Well, the Batman has made it on the list. We have 6 movies. We have Batman Returns, the Lego Batman movie, Batman Begins, Batman 89, The Dark Knight, and The Batman. There is one more spot left, and it's my turn to nominate one. And I'm going to round out Christian Bale's trilogy and say that I think The Dark Knight Rises deserves the last spot on this list. I think some people don't rate it as highly as the other movies, and I can see that. But I think that the opening of this movie on the plane is an excellent introduction to Bane. I think it is, even though Tom Hardy is difficult to understand at times behind his mask, he delivers. Yes. He still delivers a great menacing performance as this foil that can defeat Batman. He breaks his back. I think it's a nice round.
Did you give him a slip disc?
I don't know. He's supposed to break his back. He did recover it relatively well. But yeah, I still think that it is a good capper on the end of what is a very good trilogy. Considering they had to make changes to this final movie because it was supposed to have the Joker in it. I think Bane is a good character. I think Anne Hathaway's turn as Catwoman I thought was still good. I thought she was still a very good Catwoman. For me, all of the Bale movies deserve to make this top 7 at least. So Dark Knight Rises is my pick. Tony?
I would agree.
Yes.
I personally think it's the weakest of the Nolan trilogy. Again, it's a movie I felt like could have done with a bit more work on the script, tiny bit. Also, I wasn't a massive fan of what was an 8-year gap where there was been no Batman. So he'd been Batman for about a year and a half and then gave up, didn't he? After. So I think I would have preferred to have seen a bit more of him being Batman, really, before getting to this point. But generally, I enjoyed it. It at least had a conclusion to the trilogy, which I guess the Tim Burton ones didn't, although you could argue they were as standalone pieces. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say.
Okay.
It would be my top 6 or 7.
Okay. Chris, Dark Knight Rises.
It's just made my top 7, but so yes, yeah.
Nice one. John, it's made the list.
Yeah, and yeah. I think
we all sound very enthusiastic.
Well, no, I mean, I think we're all kind of in agreement that it's kind of like one of the top 3 Chris Nolan Batman films. But I think it does suffer from a bit of threequel bloat. So and it's a case of you've got Catwoman, you've got Robin of sorts, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you've got Scarecrow's back doing the Kangaroo Court, and Bane, and it's a long drawn out plot over, and it's done over months and months. So it's a case of he isolates Gotham, and then they've got to wait 6 months for it to be destroyed, and it just dragged. And so it's good, and the action scene's good, as we say. Anne Hathaway is great as Crazy Cat Lady, and and it's just, I think it kind of runs out of steam. I think it's just got a little too much in it for actually be again we're talking another 3-hour Batman film. So because they had to tie up they had to introduce a lot of things and had to tie up loose ends. So but the idea of people walking out onto the ice and maybe they'll make it to the other side is just gruesome. So yeah.
Okay. Well, it's made the list. Ollie, would have you agreed on Rises?
It wasn't on my list of 7. It's the weakest of the 3 Nolan films. Bane isn't the villain that I like. If you could pick Batman villains to go into your trilogy, obviously the Joker's up there. I'd have liked to have seen somebody else, but
Condiment
yeah,
King.
Sorry?
Condiment King.
I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I think there's plot holes in there. It's not one that I'd kind of go back to and watch regularly. I can't think of a better one to go on this list, but it wasn't on. I can't think of a better 7th one, but it wasn't on. It wasn't in my 7.
Okay.
I mean,
so I'm sort of saying no, yes.
I mean, the thing is, I've actually read the source graphic novel for Bane.
Yeah.
And they kind of had elements of it, but firstly, he's supposed to be South American.
Not British.
Not British. But yeah, they
the
had
voice
elements
is jarring, isn't it? Just
yeah, it is jarring. But
I don't mind it personally.
I think the opening of the movie is the strongest part of the movie. The introduction to Bane and the plane is the strongest part of the movie. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's nice to be good out of the gate. But overall, I think it is a very, very entertaining Batman movie, and it more than deserves to be in the top 7 for me.
Given the choice between this and Batman Forever as a film to watch, I would choose Batman Forever.
Okay.
I would have more fun watching that.
Yes.
I think I'd agree, actually. Movie. I think I'd agree.
Oh God, I wouldn't.
So the mythical 8 movie clearly isn't going to get a full house because Tony did not enjoy Batman Forever there. Is there any other movie that everybody thinks would have deserved to have been in the top 7 that hasn't been mentioned today?
Nope.
Who had the love for Batman 66?
No, I mean, Batman 66 is a cultural classic, but I don't think it's a serious watch.
Decades ahead of its time by putting all of the baddies in one film.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Batman Ninja, not as good as you'd think it would be, and definitely goes in all the places that Japanese anime goes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're not talking tentacle porn or anything like that, but it's but kind of
schoolgirls.
No, but big mechas.
Okay.
So definitely goes down that route in Shogun Japan.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, we have our top 7 Batman movies currently in no particular order. We have Batman Returns, the Lego Batman movie, Batman Begins, Batman 89, The Dark Knight, The Batman, and The Dark Knight Rises are the top 7 Batman movies ever made. So Tony, which of those 7 is the least deserving to make it to our top 5?
The Lego movie.
The Lego Batman movie. Chris.
Dark Knight Rises.
Wow, he's even picked that over the movie he hasn't seen. John.
3-hour Batman movie. I think it's going to be The Dark Knight Rises.
Ollie.
The Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
Mm.
With 2 votes each, Dark Knight Rises and the Lego Batman movie, my number 7 on my personal list was the Lego Batman movie. So the Lego Batman movie is ejected off of this list. Chris has voted for the Dark Knight Rises, and
John
voted for the Dark Knight Rises. So Tony, of what's left,
The
what
Batman.
is
The Batman.
okay? Ollie, of what's left?
The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, and I'm gonna be honest. At number 6 on my list was Batman Returns.
Get out.
Sorry, guys. But that being said, The Dark Knight Rises has gone. So we have our top 5 Batman movies. Currently, in no particular order, we have Batman Returns, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Batman 89, and The Batman are our top 5 movies. Tony and me have voted. Chris, what are you going for at number 5?
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins. John?
Yeah, I'm going to go for the other 3-hour Batman film and The Batman.
Okay. And Ollie?
I'd have said Batman Returns.
Okay.
Get out.
So, Batman Returns and The Batman both have 2 votes, which means that Chris, you have to pick what is going at number 5.
Go on, Chris, do it.
The Batman.
The Batman.
Good man.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of had to. He hasn't seen the movie. So,
but his love for Keaton is strong.
So the Batman is number 5. We've got Chris's vote for Batman Begins already, and mine and Ollie's vote for Batman Returns. So, Tony, what's the next least deserving?
Batman Begins.
And John?
Honestly, Batman.
Okay. Do you know what that means, guys? That means that Batman Returns is number 4 on this list. So with 2 votes, Batman Returns is at number 4. So Ollie, number 3 of what's left. First 2 Nolans or Batman?
Batman.
And me, Batman. So number 3 is Batman. So of the 2 choices remaining, what is the number 1 Batman movie?
Go on, Chris. What are you going to say?
I don't know. It just after number 4 there, it feels like we should maybe reset our vote.
Why is that?
How many people voted for Batman to be number 3?
Huh?
How many people voted Batman to be number 3?
Me, John, and Ollie.
Oh, did John do it?
John did it as well. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that.
I voted Batman when everyone else voted Batman Returns.
Yeah, he voted it at 4 of all of the remaining movies. So, so of what's left, what is the number 1 Batman movie, Tony? The Dark Knight or Batman Begins?
Oh, it's Dark Knight.
Chris?
Dark Knight.
John?
The crime thriller saga that is The Dark Knight.
Ollie?
The Dark Knight.
And it is a resounding. The Dark Knight is the number 1 Batman movie. So our top 5. At number 5, The Batman. At number 4, Batman Returns. At number 3, Batman 89. At number 2, Batman Begins. And number 1, The Dark Knight.
Play the sting.
Thank you very much.
Is anybody happy with that list? Because I feel that is a complete mixed bag of all of our differing Batman tastes.
I mean, I'm relatively happy. That was almost my listing, except for some reason you shoved my number 1 down to number 5. But other than that, the other 4 I had in that order going down. I had The Dark Knight at number 2, Batman Begins at number 3.
Well, I mean, I still think Batman Returns should have been number 1.
I don't think anybody's number 1.
Batman Returns would have been my number 1.
And Chris and Ollie, what was your actual number 1?
My actual number 1 was
Zack
Snyder's Justice League. My number 2 was the Batman.
So yeah, and nobody's number 1 was The Dark Knight, and it made it
my
to
number 3.
1. So,
weirdly, everybody's number 1 is towards the bottom of the list.
Or not even on it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now, hey, I stuck up. I stuck up.
No,
for
you did.
Zack Snyder. In fact, I think that was mine.
Batman 89 was my number 1, and Dark Knight was my number 2.
I think that it's because it features so highly near the second spot on everybody's list is why The Dark Knight has made it. Because it was number 2 on my list. So
I mean, I think
Begins before Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Chris. I mean, wrong. Yeah, I think it's definitely the second movies. I think I kind of like towards the top of my list. I mean, Batman Returns and Dark Knight.
Batman Begins was 4th on my list.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was basically back then. It was kind of Batman Begins and Batman, but we're all starting to nitpick
everything. Yeah.
After that,
yeah.
I kind of thought about when we started.
I was pleased that my top 7 was the show's top 7. Just to throw it out there. I came back to host and.
Rig.
Yeah.
Go on, Tony. Go on. You know what you need to vote for.
And he still didn't. He did still stick to his guns. I tried my best with the Batman.
Okay. But no, seriously, Mask of the Phantasm. There's lots of films here which you could put on and just get a bit more lore. Batman lore and enjoy for different reasons. Obviously, we've kind of gone for the best films, but
we didn't rip apart Batman and Robin.
No, I mean, Holy Rusted Metal Batman.
I was looking forward to all the puns.
Yeah, there wasn't any, was there?
There's going to be a freeze.
Yes. Arnold knew what film he was in.
I think they just painted him and gave him the script and said, "Read this line now."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I'm happy with that list, and I hope that people go and see the Batman because it clearly is dividing people. Some of us have loved it, some of us not so much. So go in with an open mind.
And only some of us are actually right. So
yeah.
Yes, we are.
Anyone that works for PTV is one.
I like that Ollie loves Zack Snyder's world and I hate it, but we both really enjoyed the Batman.
But the Batman is just felt very Zack Snyder. The music, the stylization, the kind of the.
Okay, just quickly, so we don't no spoilers. Best cars.
Oh, Michael Keaton's Batmobile,
hands down.
Yeah.
What do we think? What do we think of the new one?
Awesome.
I liked it. I thought it was awesome. It's a real car. We're set in the real world in this movie, so it would have been stupid if it looked anything other than a real car.
Yeah.
It looks like what a home mechanic could do with an unlimited budget.
Yes.
Weirdly,
and I think,
yeah.
So I think it works for this Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Then.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Tony, for joining us, even after your operation. So anything to say or plug?
Yeah, I've got what we need to do an Alien one. I keep saying this.
Okay, Aliens in general or Alien the franchise?
The franchise.
Okay. There is enough. There is enough movies.
With Predator.
With Predator, probably.
With Predator, because then we can include the Alien versus Predator movies, and they'll never make it anywhere near the list. But but they will be eligible. Lovely, nice one. That is added to the list. Chris, thank you for stepping in for hosting for a couple of shows. Anything to add on the end?
No. Just to say, I am the knight.
Ollie.
No, thank you. It was a good fun one to do.
Nice one. And John.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. But if you'd like to get in touch with us, please feel free to do so on 5onfilm@gmail.com. Also, we are on all the socials at 5onfilm. Podcast. Also, please, you can talk to us. You can leave us messages. If you go to our anchor.fm/5onfilm website, our landing page, you can press a button and leave us a 1-minute message. Tell us what you think. Do you like the shows? Do you want to do something else? Are we talking out of our jet engines?
Yeah, let us know your top 5. So
yeah, give us
whack them in the comments.
Whack them in the comments below. Those of you listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or your pod scraper of choice, please feel free to find us on YouTube. We have done quite a few of these in the past, and we've done some rather interesting ones, and people keep finding us and people keep wanting to watch it. So please, if we're interesting, please just give us an uplift and tell us all.
Do you like Tony's idea of Alien versus Predator top 5? Let us know, and we'll make it happen. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and good night.
Nice to see you.
All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.